thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Carol Jenkins. The program is Black America. Today, our guest is Jamal Joseph. He's a writer, director, songwriter, and executive artistic director of Impact Rep Theater, a training program for young people here in New York City that has had indeed a huge impact on the participants. He's a Columbia University professor of film. He has most recently written and directed the film Chapter and Verse. It's gotten a terrific review in the New York Times and is premiering in several cities across the nation. He's also the author of Panther Baby, A Life of Rebellion and Reinvention. Thank you so much for being with us today, Jamal.
It is a pleasure and honor, Carol.
That's a lot of life, you know, and we've only just begun. You've had an incredible arc in your life. We must say that part of that was being a Panther yourself. That's the Panther Baby autobiography that will probably be your next film.
Yes.
You're working on the screenplay.
Yeah, working on adapting the book into a screenplay.
Right. So tell us a little bit about that. We always start, we say, please place yourself in Black America. You're a Harlem baby in addition to being a Panther baby. So tell us a little bit about your...
I was actually conceived in Cuba. I'm Afro-Cuban, but raised by amazing adoptive grandparents in New York City between the Bronx and Harlem. They were from the South, and their parents and older siblings had been slaves. And so I learned about slavery and civil rights. They were Garveyites. They were active in the church.
Not too often you come across the term. Let's stop there for a second.
Yeah.
Garveyites.
Yeah.
So Marcus Garvey, back to Africa. Talk a little bit about it.
Well, Marcus Garvey was a Jamaican scholar who believed that the solution to oppression and racism for Black people was to return to the motherland, to Africa. And at the height of the movement, Dr. Garvey had tens of thousands of followers across the country and around the world. And my grandparents would tell me about the Sunday parades when down 7th Avenue, as we called it, Adam Clayton Bow, every Sunday.
Fabulous photos.
You would see these photos,
Yeah.
You would see people marching in pride. There were community centers, there was economic development. So I understood coming up that there were two Americas, that there was one that was free and one that was oppressed, but that Black America had a proud legacy. And so before we had Black Studies programs, Grandpa would not only critique what was on television, like if I saw a Tarzan movie, he would go like, it's not about a white guy swinging through the jungle saving Africa. Here's the civilizations of Africa, and who Frederick Douglass was.
So
Harriet Tubman.
Yeah, you had firm grounding then in Black history.
Absolutely, and Grandpa passed away, and so Noonie, Grandma, was raising me by herself. I was an honor student, but I was also hanging on the street a little bit. I was at that stage that a lot of young men are when you don't have those role models or that presence. What is the path to manhood? I was a member of the NAACP Youth Council. And then when I was 15 years old, Dr. King was assassinated, and I got radicalized,
Sure.
angry at a white man who killed Dr. King, angry at white America, and sought out the Black Panther Party. Now, as we're riding toward the Panther office, I'm with two older friends, and one friend kind of leans over and he says, it's like the mafia, the Panthers, you can't get out. And I was like, no getting out. But I'm with my boys, and they're older, right? So I couldn't be a punk. And one guy says, you got to kill a white dude to be a Panther. And I was like, kill somebody.
Oh my gosh.
So
you were that angry that
I was that angry and also that naive,
Sure,
right? I just
sure.
wanted to, I'd seen the Panthers on television with the leather coats and with the shotguns, policing the police.
Looking very cool.
Looking super cool.
Right.
And I get to the Panther office, and the person who is running the meeting is explaining the Panther 10-point program, which talks about housing, education, police brutality, serious things,
Yeah.
but nothing about killing white people.
Exactly.
And he gets to point number 5 in the 10-point program, which is about education. We want an education that teaches us our true history and the true nature of American society. And I jump up and I said, choose me, brother, arm me. I'll kill a white dude right now. The whole room gets quiet.
It seems funny now because
Right.
we know
And he calls
that you
me.
didn't, but-
He calls me up, and I'm standing next to the desk, and all of the the older Panthers. And I want to put this in perspective. They were older to me because I was 15 years old, but they were 18, 19, 21
Sure.
years old.
Sure.
And he looks at me and he reaches into the bottom drawer of this desk that he's sitting behind, and my heart is pounding in my skinny little chest. I was like, he's gonna give me a big old gun. What? And he hands me a stack of books. Autobiography of Malcolm X, Soul on Ice by Eldridge Cleaver, Wretched of the Earth by Fanon. And I thinking this is a test because of what my friends were telling me. I said, excuse me, brother, I thought you were gonna arm me. And he said, excuse me, young brother, I just did.
And that's a lesson that's often missed about the Black Panthers in terms of how seriously they took their social activism and their understanding of history.
Your day in the Black Panther Party was about service. And you've asked any person who was in the Black Panther Party, what is, there was the 10-point program and the rules of discipline, and of course, we studied a great deal, but if I asked them if there was one principle, one thing that kind of superseded anything else, guarantee they would answer the question this way. We were taught to have an undying love for the people and to serve the community, mind, body, and soul.
And yet, at 15, you're in the Panthers. You wound up in jail, and that was for hiding people who were hiding from the police, and what else?
Well, the Panther 21 case was a conspiracy case, and the district attorney's office alleged that we were in some plot to have guerrilla warfare in New York City, and we were on trial for our lives. And two of the witnesses were undercover cops who infiltrated the Panthers. And this was a trial that Afeni Shakur was part of, Tupac's mom.
Sure, part of your life.
And part of the life, yeah.
And Tupac as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It became your godson, right?
So acquitted of the major charges.
Right.
I wound up spending time in prison for hiding out people who were on the run for the FBI.
Right, but in Leavenworth, by the way, so, which is no joke. So, but while you were there, graduated from the University of Kansas.
KU.
Right,
Yeah.
summa cum laude.
Right, summa cum laude, degrees in sociology and psychology. And it's there I started writing. I started writing poetry, I started writing plays, and I formed a theater company.
In prison, yeah,
prison.
and some interesting stories there. There's a TED talk that you gave about an older prisoner who told you, okay, young brother, you're here. You can either do the time or the time's going to do you. And you took that to heart and came out of there with what would turn out to be a fantastic, productive life, teaching at Columbia, heading the film school, grooming filmmakers, and having an exciting life yourself, working for most of the broadcasting companies, as well as doing films. So let's jump to chapter and verse, because I know that it has a jail theme as well. Autobiographical, to what degree?
Well, to the degree that our lead character is someone who spent a number of years in prison and is returning to Harlem to rebuild his life. And the challenges. He's someone who learned how to fix computers and can't get a job. He's someone who wants to keep his head down and stays out of trouble, but there's police on every corner and gang members on every corner.
Well, let's take a look at that, and let's talk about it on the other side.
Absolutely.
Got a great review from the Times, I'll say again.
My name is S. Lance Ingram. They used to call me L.
How long you been out the joint, huh?
Few weeks.
Why you acting all shady?
Find a job?
No jobs, no jobs.
First week for free.
All right, so I should put you on the van back to Greenhaven tomorrow.
Stuck finding my way, there's no other way.
I see the good in you.
I'm just writing my own way.
Why are you so
They
sad?
pray for the worst.
This is my grandson, Ty.
Why?
Just my
I ain't
mama.
going back to the joint for nobody. You hear me?
He's a good kid. What I tell you about wearing them Brooklyn pants? And you told you pull up them pants.
They jump you in yet? 2 up, stab 2 people.
Don't do that.
2 up, 1 down, stab 2, shoot 1.
Thought about getting my hammer and putting it to your head.
I used to get those numbers out.
Stay up.
Make recruits prove they was loyal. They was family. The real family don't make you jeopardize your future, know what I mean?
I got a scar still from police. My hand was split in half.
More things change, the most stay the same. Harlem, USA.
I can't tell you where I've be, but I'm about to tell you where I'm going.
These shorties got no rules and regulations, just rah, just poof. All emotion, man.
Thank God you're here.
And the title, chapter and verse?
So it has two meanings in the Black community. When someone knows the Bible really well, people say, you know, grandma knows the Bible chapter and verse. But when someone knows the streets really well, the ins and outs, the corners, all the spots, they say, you know, he or she knows the streets chapter and verse. So the idea behind chapter and verse, Daniel Beatty, who
Right.
stars in the film and who co-wrote the script with me, is a magnificent actor, and he is an alum of Yale University, and I'm a Columbia University professor. And we were sitting in Harlem, and even in this gentrified Harlem, realizing that of the men who live in Harlem, and especially, you know, who have been there, who have been raised there, that 1 in 3 have been to prison or will probably wind up in prison. And so we wanted to do a portrait of the third man. And then we realized the third man was in the room with us. In my family, I'm the third man, albeit for my political beliefs. In Daniel's family, his dad and his brother spent time in prison. And so we said, let's do a portrait so that that third man is not just a statistic, but is the face of that brother, that father, that son, in a way that we can look at mass incarceration, and especially even as we reform prison, what happens to those men and women who are coming home?
Sure.
Will we receive them? Is having a second chance a moral obligation, or is it a human right? We wanted to kind of address that through powerful characters and hopefully a compelling story.
Right, no, very compelling. And you say in your talk that when you went to jail, there were 500,000 people in jail. Now there are 2 million. So we've got this huge 2 million plus.
That's
you know, this
right.
huge population of people who hopefully will be coming out at some point if they are not gunned down on the streets. And I think that that was, you know, a part of your making this kind of film too, to save Black people. I love the behind the scenes, you know, when you're talking about this. Let's take a look at that and come back.
I just wanted to say to everyone who has been part of this experience the whole way through, nearing the end, this film is about Ferguson. This film is about Michael Brown. It's about Eric Garner. It's about the statistic that says that in this very community, that 1 in 9 young Black men might have a chance to graduate high school and go to college, but 1 in 3 are guaranteed that they'll be arrested and wind up in jail. If you were out here last night, you will see that this is not just a movie, it's a movement. You saw what happened with the real YGs just 2 blocks away, and their response of about 30, 40 cop cars. So we have a chance to make an important statement. And if we remember the spirit of the film, and why we're here, we'll do this safely, we'll do this powerfully, and everybody out here, I consider you not just part of the chapter and verse family, but part of the family of people who are activists as well as artists, and that makes us all artists on a mission tonight.
And I love that you are shaping lives. You know, it's more than a movie, you say, it's a movement. And one of the things that I loved about your time in prison is that you learned that even when the body is locked up, the soul can be free. And so that's what, I mean, you're the prime example, the perfect example of that, of going on to productive life. I love the fact that that you're one of the winners of the Purpose Prize, which really means that you've actually are doing something constructive with your life. They only give it to people who can demonstrate that. Talk to a little bit about that. It came out of your work with Impact, the repertory company that you run for young people here in the city.
Well, the Purpose Prize was created by Encore.org, who looks at people who are in the encore period of their lives. You know, as
even though you're a young
baby,
guy.
Well,
anyway.
Yeah, as baby boomers, we
Right.
we are living longer. We are living healthier, and it means that when we get to in our 50s and our 60s, that we still have something to contribute. And people are saying, what can I do with this experience in my life to continue to give back and to help transform lives? And so my work with young people, the Purpose Prize was my work with Impact Repertory Theater, I'm dedicated and inspired by the idea that they are the leaders of today, and that one of the ways that, one of the themes in chapter and verse, and one of the themes I think that I work with as a Harlemite and as an activist is, if people are broken, if they're broken because of poverty, if they're broken because of the school to prison pipeline, if we're broken because of health issues, we don't have to stay broken. And how can broken people love and heal each other? And so the creative arts and education has the ability to do that. With young people, and the reason why we talk about activism and arts together, it allows them not just to learn how to write and to sing and to dance, but it fires their imagination. It lets them see the world through brand new, sunny, inspirational lenses, allows them to reimagine themselves and their communities differently, and grow up and become change agents in their own life and in the community. And that's the power of the art, and that's what we try to do with it. It's the spirit of the African griot, where he or she told stories that were meant to educate, to inform about what we needed to be aware of, but it left us with the charge. It inspired us to say, this we must do. This we must do for our village. This we must do for our country. This we must do for the world.
We have a clip. I was looking for this. I wanted to see these kids in action. And this is just a very, very moving of the kids in this process that you talk about. Let's take a look at that.
You cannot take moments like this for granted. And I mean this not only as it relates to our performances, I mean this as it relates to your life. Do not just throw it away. We started Impact when a young man in our building got shot to death. His mother's apartment was too small to contain her grief, and she went out on the street and she began crying. I have to do more than just watch the women crying. I've got to do something right here where I live. And so with no money, with no permission, we started Impact. What is Impact?
It's not a game.
How come it's not a game?
Because what we do now matters forever.
Okay, understand that line. What we do now, this is now. In Impact, we're connecting arts with youth development. We think the creative arts is a way to build confidence, community, and critical thinking. We do leadership training, writing workshops, homework help, and creative labs where we're creating songs that are original.
I started Impact when I was just 14 years old. My father was murdered, and my mother was looking for some type of program to keep me engaged. It gave me the ability to stand up and not be afraid of how my voice sounded or what I had to say.
We are mothers and fathers who've lost kids to gun violence. I lost 2. I am very proud of Impact because you are making a difference. I can't bring my kids back, but I could certainly try to help another mother or another child from getting killed, and we have done that.
Safe space becomes extra important because I know what it is to be in a broken space.
Wow, Jamal, just terrific, terrific work. So there have been 1,500 young people who've gone through your program, and 75% of those have gone on to college.
Yeah, and this is our 20th anniversary year.
Incredible.
So we have young people who not only are college graduates, but we have young people now who have their graduate degrees, and 2 who are in PhD programs, who are Impact alums.
In fact, right here at Black America, we have Dwayne Ferguson, one of our stellar producers,
yeah,
who was one of your kids.
Who I had the pleasure of mentoring. So
thank you for that. Great, Dwayne.
Yay, Dwayne. Yes.
Right. So now, when I introduced you and I said songwriter too, it's almost that you're too talented, Jamal. I mean, you're nominated for an Oscar because of the song that you wrote for August Rush. Tell us about that.
Well, it's a song we wrote as Impact, and so I'm a composer. I'm a lyricist, and have talented musicians with me to help do the form. But August Rush starred Robin Williams and Freddie Highmore, and it was about a young man who escaped from an orphanage to come to New York City to find his parents. And Impact played the gospel choir in the film, and Kirsten Sheridan allowed us to write a song. And we wrote a song called Raise It Up.
And of course we have it.
You have Raise It Up. And it was performed in the film, and we got nominated for an Academy Award.
Right, okay, let's take a listen.
Far too many pressures in reality. We're dealing with the pain and stress and poverty, and I gotta be myself because there's nobody else for me, no. Sometimes it takes a different kind of love to raise a child. So don't give up. No, no. Sometimes it takes a different kind of dream to make you smile. So raise. Sometimes we need another helping hand to show the way. So don't give up. No, no. Sometimes it seems impossible, and that's why we pray.
Raise it up. Seems to be nothing left for me. Mama's gone, daddy didn't wanna be, and now I'm all by myself, wondering where is up. Should I just give up? You know,
life falls down on me, cuts into my soul. But I know I got the strength to make it through it all. 'Cause I'm still standing tall, breaking through these walls. I'm gonna get my own.
You're like a motherless child, pain cuts into my soul. It's beating me down, can't find a smile on the face of a motherless child. Gonna break down these walls, gonna get my own. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Sometimes it takes a different kind of love to raise a child. Don't give up, no. So raise it up, hang in there with me. Raise it up.
Sometimes it takes another helping hand to show you the way. Sometimes it seems impossible, that's why we pray.
Just fantastic.
Oh, thank you. It was so amazing to have 30 young people from Harlem to be able to go to LA and be on the
Perform
stage
at the Oscars,
at the Oscars,
right, for the nomination.
Yeah.
Just fantastic.
But then 2 days later,
Yes.
we were back in New York City and we performed at a prison. And can I say that they got an Oscar caliber performance, because the perspective of the young people is that here's what we're here to do. We're here to use our voices and our gift and our words to transform lives and to bring hope.
Right, it's just wonderful. So you're doing it on all levels. I mean, you, again, professor at Columbia in the film school. Talk to us a little bit. I noticed in reading about you that you've handled a lot of discussions about getting into the business, or writers, directors, producers, actors, the whole gamut, and you have done it all.
Yeah.
So is it more difficult now or easier now? What's your take on where we are?
It's different now. And I think that one of the things, Cheryl Hill and I, who founded the Harlem Film Company that produced Chapter and Verse, did that because we had combined experience in Hollywood, but we knew that Hollywood was not greenlighting the kind of stories that we wanted to tell. So people have the ability to have cameras. You can shoot movies on your iPhone, or save some money and get a prosumer camera. I think it's important to take some film workshops and to learn the craft of storytelling and filmmaking. But there's so many opportunities to tell meaningful stories. And there's increasing platforms for storytelling. So when you look at all the possibilities there are for cable and for digital content, I like to tell young people who are aspiring to be filmmakers to do it because you love it, and do good work, and then what's supposed to follow is follow. Don't model your career after someone else. Don't think of it in terms of money first. Think of it in terms of art and storytelling first, and be passionate and continue to create content.
And when you say the other platforms, though, as we tape this, the Writers Union is talking about striking, because even though people are working the same amount, they're getting paid less because of the formats are shorter and all. So
yeah, absolutely. And you know, I'm a proud member of the Writers Guild.
I saw that. Yes.
And that's what and as it expands, and as the business becomes corporate at the top and starts looking at artists as workers and almost as low-paid laborers instead of what they do, you know, it's amazing how much how unions have shrunk as corporations get bigger. It's kind of the story of capitalism, putting profit over people.
Right. Well, you know, we always end the show, and I'm sorry, you'll have to come back.
Absolutely.
Fascinating life. We always ask our guests to finish the statement, the power, the strength of Black America lies in. How would you complete that?
The power and
the strength of Black America.
The power and the strength of Black America lies in its ability to continue to love, to heal, and to see a brighter day.
And the part of film, the arts in that?
Well, arts, you know, arts has the ability to be that mirror that helps us look inward and outward, to see, as my wife always likes to say, my wife Joyce, our greater selves in full and living color.
And your prediction for the students that you have in your charge every single day, you see light coming out of them for all of them?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. We have a motto at Impact that says, keep a positive thought because a positive thought cannot be denied. And we've seen them go forward as leaders, as artists, and as activists, really understanding that they have the ability to change themselves and transform the world around them.
Well, Jamal Joseph, thank you so much for being with us today. I am just so encouraged by the work that you're doing and the talent that you're putting out there in the world. So thanks for being here on Black America today.
Thank you for being here and for all that you do for our community.
Well, thanks. And thanks for joining us out there. I'm Carol Jenkins. The program is Black America, and we will see you the next time.